Welcome back, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to do a flow for first thing in the morning. So we'll take it nice and slow since the body is likely stiff from waking up. Go ahead and start by finding a comfortable seated position, noticing the breath, noticing the inhales and exhales, maybe noticing that they start to get a little bit longer. And then when you're ready, start with some neck circles. Depending on your body, you may want to just do half circles from side to side. If you know that your cervical spine is healthy and would enjoy full circles, feel free to take those neck rolls all the way around, alternating directions. Make your way back to center, and then just tilt side to side, bringing the right ear to the right shoulder, and maybe looking up and down, feeling the stretch on the left side of the neck. And then take your opposite ear to opposite shoulder. Again, changing where you feel the stretch in the neck by switching your chin up and down nice and slow. Back to center. And then let's go ahead and start to take that circle farther in the body, warming up the spine with some seated cat-cows. Inhaling, really opening up the heart. Exhaling, squeezing the belly button towards the spine. Come back to center. And then inhale, hands come up over the head. Exhale, gently twist to one side. It's your first twist, so not too much intensity. Keep the bottom hand where it is and inhale the other hand up and over. And then exhale back to your twist. Inhale, adding some side extension. Bottom hand is grounding you in place. And then exhaling, twisting. Inhale, both hands to the sky and other side, starting with that gentle twist. Keeping your hand on your knee, inhale, opposite hand up and over. Exhale, twist. Inhale, feel the stretch in that top side. And then twist. Gently release, inhale back up towards the sky, and then bring the hands behind your back, interlock the fingers, and bring your knuckles to one side, dropping your ear to that same shoulder. So you'll feel a really intense stretch down the neck and the top of your shoulder. One more breath. And then bring the knuckles to the other side, dropping your ear towards the side with your knuckles, feeling the stretch in your shoulder and your neck. Nice and slow warm up here. One more breath. And come back to center. Release your hands. Bring the hands forward, interlocking the fingers, palms facing out, and then reach up and around. Opening up the heart on your inhale, and then exhale, rounding. Same thing, flip the palms. Inhale towards the sky, open, 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 releasing and exaggerating the openness in the heart, reaching the sternum towards the sky. Release and round. Interlock the fingers, flip the palms out, back to the sky, opening up the shoulders, full range of motion. And then this time, let's add some intensity by coming into reverse tabletop. Depending on how intense this is for you first thing in the morning, you may want to keep the hips closer to the ground, not coming into the full expression. And then release, give yourself a hug. One more time, palms forward, up and around, coming to the ground behind you and pushing up. Maybe the hips come a little higher this time, reverse table. Release, wrap the hands around the shins or the knees and give yourself a hug. Release, fingers interconnect, palms open, pushing back up one more time into reverse table. Noticing the shoulders getting a little bit warm with each time you go through those arm circles and pushing the hips to reverse table. Release the hips back down to the ground and give yourself another hug. Pressing the knees towards the forehead, flexing the entire spine. Inhale, up and over, releasing the hands behind. And this is our last one. Breathe, reach through the crown of the head, not dumping into the cervical neck, cervical spine by looking behind you, just reaching long spine, and then release, one more hug. This time, release and roll yourself forward onto all fours, coming to table, stacking knees underneath the hips, shoulders on top of the wrists, and then inhaling and exhaling through cat and cow. Really focusing on the upper back, the thoracic spine. We have a tendency to really dump into the lower back, which already has more flexibility. So focus on that thoracic spine. You can continue with cat-cows, or you can add a few options, maybe doing what I call a jumping rope with the body, or looking side to side. Whatever feels good for you to warm up the body. Take another breath or two to warm up the spine. And then when you're ready, come back to center or a nice neutral spine, engaging the core. And then we'll tuck our toes and push the hips back for our first downward facing dog. Now again, because it's first thing in the morning, feel free to keep those knees deeply bent. Maybe walking out the ankles, stretching the back of one leg at a time, stretching your toes. Sometimes I like to push up onto my toes and then sink back down into down dog. Whatever feels good to loosen up the back of the legs. Make sure you're continuing to keep a nice straight lower spine, shooting energy out through your tailbone. So if you feel your back rounding, in order to straighten the legs, then go ahead and focus on the flat back instead. Walk your hands back towards the back of your mat and find forward fold. Maybe wrapping the hands around the elbows And again, keeping the knees deeply bent. This is our first forward fold, so feel free to support your upper body on the thighs. Maybe swaying side to side, maybe a figure 8 with those elbows. I often like to try shifting my weight into either foot or shifting slightly forward into the toes and back into the heels. Whenever you're ready, release the hands. And on your next exhale, we're going to roll up very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, letting the head hang heavy. And once you reach the top, bring your hands to your heart center, and we will start our first gentle flow. Inhale towards the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, bringing the hands to the shins or the thighs. And then release. Inhale, walk your hands forward gently, coming to your first plank. Knees can be on the ground. And then exhale all the way to the ground, nice and slow. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release. And we'll make our way back to down dog. Taking a few breaths here. Again, there's no rush. We're still barely warming up the body. Walk the dog, stretch the toes, whatever feels good for you. And then on your next exhale, walk the hands back towards the feet, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, grow tall. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale. Hinge at the hips, fold forward, knees can stay bent. Inhale, flat back. And then this time, let's add a twist. So one hand goes to the opposite ankle and inhale to the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Opposite hand to opposite ankle, maybe looking towards the sky. Again, it's still early, so if that doesn't work for your neck, you don't need to look up. And when you're ready, walk your way back out to plank and exhale all the way down to the ground. Inhale, cobra, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then release and gently push yourself back to down dog. Staying in down dog, taking a few breaths. Don't be afraid to add movement here if that feels good. Or you can start to find a static down dog. On your next exhale, walk the hands back towards the feet, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Nice long spine. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, grow long and tall. Fold forward on the exhale. Inhale, reach through the crown of the head. Notice the change in the back of the legs, and then add that twist. Back to center. Twisting to the other side. Noticing how the hamstrings change, the sensations you feel when the back is rounded versus when it's flat. And then walk your hands out to plank. Inhaling. Exhale all the way down to the ground for cobra, or if you're ready, Pushing up into up dog, knees and hips off the ground. Exhale, squeeze with the abs to shift back to down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up. Feel free to bend the knee, open up that hip. Take a few hip circles, nice and slow. 2 or 3 to one direction, and then a few hip circles to the other direction. Maybe starting small, each circle getting a little bit bigger, and then come back to down dog. When you're ready, inhale the opposite foot up, bend the knee, and start your circles on the other side. Noticing that while the hip is opening and closing, the shoulders are remaining square to the ground. Come back to center, extend the leg, and then release down dog. Taking a breath or two, and then on an exhale, walking the hands back, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, squeeze the belly button to the spine. Stand tall in mountain. Inhale, hands rise up. And this time let's add a lean to one side, half moon. Opening up your top side, back to center, and then to the other side, making sure the shoulders stay open so you can easily see past that top arm up towards the sky. If you're looking that direction, back to center, and then exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Notice the hamstrings should be starting to get nice and warm. Inhale, add the twist. Exhale, release. Opposite side. Inhaling, twisting with a flat back. And release. Walk your hands out towards the front of your mat, coming into plank. Inhaling and then exhaling, flowing through either cobra or up dog, back bend of your choice. And then exhale, shifting the hips back, down dog. Inhale, one foot rises up, bending the knee, and we will take another hip circle, one in each direction. And then coming back to center, extend the leg on your inhale. Hips are square. Release that foot to the ground, down dog. Opposite side, inhale. Bending the knee. Just one hip circle each direction. Nice and slow flow for your morning. And then inhaling, extending the legs, squaring the hips, reaching through the heel, and release back down to the ground. On your next exhale, gently walk the hands back towards the feet, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, rise up, grow tall. No back bend really, just length, and then exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, hook the thumbs or one hand around the wrist and lean to the side, half moon. Inhale, back to center. Opposite hand, wrist, half moon, other side. And then inhale back to center. Release the hands, fold forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, and extend for your twist. Opposite hand, opposite ankle, reaching the fingertips towards the sky, and then release, forward fold. Now that we're starting to get warmer, other side, think about engaging your back muscles a little bit more, really drawing the shoulder blade of that extended floating arm onto the back. Release. And then walk your hands forward, plank. On your exhale, flow through your vinyasa, finding the back bend of your choice on an inhale. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, one foot lifts up, bend the knee. Take one hip circle each direction, just slowly adding on little by little to this flow. Back to center, extend the leg and reach through the heel, square the hips. And then this time, we'll step that floating foot all the way through and find a low lunge. When you're ready, back heel plants to the ground and rise up, warrior one. Hopefully your hips are warm by now, but if they're not, you can always walk that front foot out a little bit to give you some more space for your hips in warrior one. Deep breathing, maybe looking up at your fingers, looking at the sky. And on your next exhale, release the hands to the ground and step to plank, flowing through vinyasa or shifting back to down dog. Opposite side, adding the hip circles first, one circle in each direction, and then extending the leg, reaching through the heel, and on your next exhale, stepping the foot all the way through, taking a moment in this low lunge, floating the fingertips off the ground, and then rolling the heel towards the ground and rising up, warrior one on the other side. Making sure that the back foot is at a bit of a 45-degree angle and that you're not dumping all your weight into the arch or into the outside edge of the foot. In warrior one, sink deeper as the hips warm up. Lift your gaze towards the sky for an extra challenge to your balance. And then on an exhale, roll forward and step to plank. Again, you can take a vinyasa or you can immediately push back to down dog. On your next exhale, we'll walk the hands back to forward fold. Inhaling flat back. Exhale, fold. Notice the hands are getting closer to the ground maybe. Lots more warmth and flexibility in the back of the legs. Inhaling up and exhale back to your heart center. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, half moon to one side, opening up the top side, back to center, and then other side. Making sure you're keeping the abs engaged to support your lower back as you extend side to side. Center, release the hands, and dive forward. Inhale, flat back, adding your twist, starting to engage the upper back, warming up the upper body. Fold forward, exhale, And then inhale, flatten the back and find your twist on the other side. Exhale, release and fold forward. And then walk your hands, one handprint at a time, to the front of your mat, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend of your choice. And exhale, down dog. Remember, you can always skip chaturanga or you can come to your knees. From down dog, inhale, one foot comes up. Bend the knee. Add in those hip circles, one circle each direction. And then come back to center, extend the leg, reach through the heel, square the hips. Maybe the heel of the standing leg is starting to get closer to the ground. And then exhale, bring the floating foot through. And rise up, warrior one. Inhaling, engaging the abs so that you don't overextend in the lower back. And then bring the hands behind, interlock the fingers, and draw the knuckles down the back for a little back bend here. Again, making sure that your core is engaged so that you don't overextend in the lower back. We want this extension to be equal from lumbar to thoracic to the cervical. Release the hands, sink a little bit deeper into that front leg, and then come to the ground and step to plank, taking a flow, or shifting back to down dog, yogi's choice. Opposite side, inhale, exhale, bend the knee. Notice the opening in the front of the hip as you take your hip circles. And then coming back to center, squaring the hips, reaching through the heel, and on an exhale, stepping the foot all the way through, finding warrior one on the other side. As your hips start to get warmer, try to sink a little bit deeper into that front leg. And then just like on the other side, release the hands behind, interlock the fingers, preferably opposite thumb on top. Reaching the knuckles down the back leg, opening up the front of the body. Lifting the heart towards the sky. Release the hands, rising back up to warrior one. And then on your next exhale, hands come to the ground, and you can take your vinyasa or step to plank, engaging the core for a moment and shifting back to down dog. Wherever you are, take a breath or two in down dog. And then on an exhale, walk the hands back towards the feet, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Palms come to touch. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, half moon to one side. Using your hips as a counterweight against your shoulders and your hands, back to center. Other side. So what that means is you're pushing your hips in the opposite direction of your hands to stay balanced. Back to center. Release the hands and fold forward. Inhale, flat back. And add on your twist. Opposite hand to opposite ankle. Maybe the legs are staying straight now. Release back to your forward fold. Inhale, flattening the back and then twisting. Other side. It's okay if you need to keep One knee bent here is a pretty intense twist. Fold forward and then walk your hands out to plank. On an exhale, strong body, keeping that nice flat line as you flow through your vinyasa and make your way to down dog. Inhale, one foot rises, starting with the hip circles. Come back to center and extend that leg, square the hips. Exhale, step the foot all the way through, find warrior one. Rise up, reaching through the fingertips, finding length, sinking into the front leg, and then bring the hands behind your back, interlock the fingers, and draw the knuckles down that back thigh. Inhale. Gently release your interlock, hands come back towards the sky, and then you're going to extend the front leg and fold out over the front leg for pyramid pose. Feel free to bring blocks underneath the hands if you don't have enough warmth yet in the front leg. And then fold your body out over the extended leg, belly button to thigh, sternum to kneecap, nose to shin, really focusing on lengthening out over the front leg rather than rounding towards it. Soften the front knee and gently step back to plank. Take a flow or shift immediately back to down dog. Opposite side, inhale, pick up your foot, soften the knee and add in your single hip circles, the knee in one direction and then the other. Back to center, extend the leg, and on exhale, sweep that floating leg all the way through, back heel to the ground, rise up, warrior one. Find your steadiness, find your balance, and then release the hands behind, interlocking opposite thumb on top, opening up the heart, drawing the knuckles down the back of the thigh, sinking deep into the front leg, and then release. Hands come to the sky, extend the front leg, and fold forward, pyramid pose. Maybe focusing on a nice flat back to start, and then releasing out over the front leg. Really squaring your hips. So think about pulling the hip of the front leg back and the hip of the back leg forward. And that might change how this feels pretty dramatically. Take another breath, and then when you're ready, soften the knee and gently step back to plank, taking your flow or coming back to down dog. We'll take a couple of long inhales and exhales in downward facing dog. And then on your next exhale, walk the hands back, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, tall mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, rise up. Hook the thumbs or one hand around the wrist and exhale to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, adding your twist. Maybe noticing the fingertips float more towards the sky now that you're warm. And then finding your twist on the other side. Release and fold forward. And then walk your hands out to plank, flowing through your vinyasa, making your way to down dog. Inhale. Lift up one leg once again. Hip circles, one in each direction. Coming back to center, extending the leg. Exhale, step it all the way through. Inhale, rise up. Warrior one. Find the openness in the heart as you interlock the fingers behind. And then release the hands, extend the front leg, folding into pyramid pose. Really focusing on lengthening the spine as you fold. Soften the knee and step back to plank, taking your flow to the other side. On an inhale, the opposite foot rises up, bending the knee, adding your hip circles. Coming back to center, square the hips, extend the leg, and on an exhale, bring that floating foot through, rise up, warrior one. Interlock the fingers behind and open up the heart on an inhale, moving just slightly faster. Release the hands, extend the front leg, and fold forward, pyramid pose. On your next breath, soften the front knee and step back to plank, taking another flow or pushing straight back to down dog. Take a couple of breaths in down dog. Hopefully by now you've created quite a bit of heat and warmed up the body. And we're going to take it down a notch, slowly unwind a little bit before you are free to go about your day. So one more breath in down dog, and then walk your hands back towards the back of the mat, making our way up to standing. So you can either rise up with a flat back or you can curl up nice and slow on an exhale, one vertebrae at a time, coming up to standing. Maybe give yourself a couple of shoulder rolls. And then we're going to transition into a little bit of balance. So find your balance on one side and find tree pose. Bringing the floating foot either to your calf or to your thigh, but making sure there's no weight on your knee. If this is too challenging for your balance, you can always bring the foot down and balance on your big toe. If you'd like to challenge your balance, maybe extend the hands overhead and maybe bring the gaze up. The higher you can bring your gaze, the more challenging it will be on your balance. When you're ready, slowly, quietly transition to tree on the other side, finding your balance, finding the version of tree on this side that works for you. And then potentially challenging yourself by extending the hands overhead and maybe raising your gaze. Staying here for several breaths. Take one more breath and then release the hands, release your foot, Hands come back to your heart center. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, opening up the heart one last time as you flow through cactus to forward fold. And then go ahead and gently walk the hands forward about a foot or so that you can find balance on your toes. This is a really good toe stretch for those of you that maybe wear high heels to an office. If you can, bring the knees to the ground with the toes tucked under and just breathe, sitting as upright as possible. This can be extremely uncomfortable, so if it's too uncomfortable for you, feel free to untuck the toes and just sit with the feet tucked under, finding a brief moment of meditation. And then release, crossing the legs and sitting back down onto the ground, maybe bouncing the knees, extending the back of the knees. We're going to take some final twists as we unwind, so bring one knee towards the chest. You can cross it over the extended leg if that feels better for you. And then twist towards the back. Back hand is there for support. And you can choose the challenge level here by either hugging your knee for less of an intense twist or wrapping that elbow on the other side of the knee, creating a little bit more leverage and a little bit more intensity. Gently release, and then cradle that leg. So instead of coming into any kind of pigeon, we're just going to do what I call forklifting the leg, pulling it towards your chest, maybe giving yourself a hug with the foot and the knee and the crook of each elbow. This is a really great option if you're working towards compass. We're not going to be doing that today, but it's a great way to work towards that more challenging pose. Release. Inhale, both hands to the sky, fold forward, just finding a moment centered before we transition to the other side. No intensity here, just releasing, letting gravity do the work. And then gently roll yourself back up to upright. The other knee pops towards your chest, either keeping the foot on the inside or crossing it over the extended leg. Finding your twist on the other side, focusing on inhaling, lengthening the spine, and then exhale, just a slightly deeper twist. No real effort here if you don't want that. Just using the natural contraction of your abdomen as you exhale to create a deeper twist. Gently release, picking up that calf, finding your forklift, noticing the intensity in your hip. Very similar sensation as what you might feel in pigeon. Staying here, or if you would like that hugging option, wrapping the knee and ankle into the crooks of your elbows. And then gently release, extend the leg. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, fold. This time finding a little bit more intensity. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and then exhale, draw the elbows towards the ground as you reach the crown of your head towards your toes. Feet are flexed, the legs are active, the upper body is active, and then release and rise back up. We're going to make our way down to the mat, so give yourself enough space. Start in boat, and as slow as you can, roll down. You can challenge yourself with the legs extended or keep the knees bent, but I want you to really go slow, one vertebrae at a time, engaging the core as you come to low boat. And we're going to hold here for 10. Scoop the belly button in and up, pressing the lower back into the ground, reaching through the toes, reaching through the crown of the head. 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knees towards your chest, release the head to the ground, give yourself a hug. Maybe give your spine a gentle massage by rocking side to side. And then come back to center. Release the hands to a T and gently drop the knees to one side for a gentle supine twist. Exhale, come back to center and then drop them to the other side. Exhale, back to center. You can always stay in those twists a little bit longer, but we've already done quite a bit of twists today. So if you'd like, you can join me in Happy Baby. And maybe rock side to side very slowly, massaging out the lower back. Release the feet to the ground, and you can either come right into Shavasana, or you can take Goddess Pose with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. Hands can be at your sides, or maybe one hand at your heart, one hand at your belly, noticing how the breath has changed. Now that you have transitioned from an active practice to a restorative practice. This is your practice, so feel free to stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. But if you are ready, slowly make your way up to a seated position, finding movement in your extremities little by little. Finding a comfortable cross-legged seat. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this awakening practice and that it helps you start your day. Namaste.